about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So you're going to see a lot of headlines on how Gen Zs look at the future as being bleak. Many of us Gen Xs or baby boomers or millennials may also. And I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic. I think... Now, and I don't want to say it's because Trump is president, but I got to tell you, a lot of the things that worried me about our future and about the silencing and about the canceling and about the going after us for misinformation when we were right is getting reversed. And people are feeling a lot more free to talk, to open up. Now, I understand, people are concerned about, will they lose their family member to deportation? I don't know. I don't know if your family member was an illegal immigrant or not. I know, not everybody is happy with Trump. But one thing for me as a doctor, because, you could be worried about the world in general and the, country in general. But in my lane of medicine, I was really worried about the medical future when you couldn't speak honestly about masks and vaccines and COVID. And when I was trained in the 90s, you were beaten up figuratively really good, where you don't lie, you don't not get informed consent, you don't coerce somebody into a medical procedure, you don't do something political, you don't discriminate against somebody based on their political beliefs. If somebody voted for Bob Dole versus Bill Clinton, who cares? You like Bill Clinton, you like Bob Dole. I voted for Bill Clinton in the 90s. That was just what everybody in college did at the time. And that wouldn't affect what you would do in the OR or in the ER or in the urgent care. But lately, all you hear is, look at that doctor, that pediatrician out of Texas, saying MAGA people got what they voted for as it pertained to the floods. We're still, I think we have 170 people missing. Death toll over 120. Many, many kids dead from the floods. And you have a doctor putting politics first over sanity and over humanism. They got what they voted for. It's disgusting. I'm also hearing people just talk bad about Texas in general. Just the state. Now, I know some people do that about California, and I don't like that because I'm from California. I love California. I get the politics stink over there, and the taxes stink, but I really like the state. It's a gorgeous state. And I have family over there. But I notice you're going to start hearing more and more of that vernacular and that sort of discourse because people want the country divided. They want a civil war. One of the reasons why we don't have a civil war is because you have the blue states on the periphery and many red states in the center. If it was shaped differently with north or south or east and west, we would probably be going to a civil war much sooner. But you have Florida on one end, on the same side of the country as New York, but you have California, Oregon, Washington, all aligning the West. It's very hard to do a civil war when you have things spread out. And then you got Colorado in the midst of Idaho and Wyoming and Kansas and Nebraska. So but it's coming. there's going to be this push, not just Republicans and Democrats, but there's going to be this push where people are saying, you don't think like your America is much different than my America. And I'm concerned about that. But the one reason why I'm pretty optimistic is I see headlines such as this. Daily Mail published a headline, New York Times admits migrant conspiracy theory it scolded Donald Trump was actually true. So if you remember, Donald Trump was talking about Tren de Aragua and Venezuelan gangs taking over an apartment complex in Colorado. And last September, the New York Times accused him of pushing false conspiracy theories right before the election. And a recent investigation published by the same paper concedes that Aurora, Colorado, the Denver suburb, was indeed a hotspot for Venezuelan gang members. You see? So just like with us, talking about how the masks people were wearing were not protecting them and could have been doing more harm than giving them N95 respirators, which one study said needed to be aired out because there were chemicals people were exposed to with those. Where you needed natural immunity and artificial immunity from the vaccine, not just artificial immunity. The people most protected had both. And I kept being told to shut up. When I had said, I think the virus came from a lab, because at the end of 2019, we were starting to feel COVID. We didn't know it was COVID at the time. And I had never seen anything that I thought would have naturally occurred like this. No, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, even during the Biden administration, the CIA, Department of Energy said, yeah, it looks like with probable reasonability, it came from a lab. So everything I said and everything many of us said or thought, we were accused of and canceled because they said it was a conspiracy theory. Now it's changing. Just give it a little bit of time, or just step back, media, and let the truth come out. Now, I like Denver a lot. I hope Denver gets a grip on these gangs. But, stop trying to spew conspiracy theory and all these other sort of messaging when we're right. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
right. We're back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So a common question I've been asked over the last few years that I really haven't answered on air that I think I'm going to do now is, what did I purchase in terms of stocks? Pharmaceutical stocks, Eli Lilly with their Zepbound, Boeing, NVIDIA. It's not NVIDIA. I think it's pronounced NVIDIA, like the letter N, NVIDIA with an E in front of it, but it looks like NVIDIA. So I'm no stock expert. I'm very intimidated by the stock market. I don't make good decisions. Remember, I had a roommate in medical school who said he was going to invest in the stock that he thinks is going to do really well. And I didn't have extra student loan money. He's like, I'm going to use some of my student loan money and put the money in the stock market. I'm like, I can't do that. I have to, help put my brother through school. There's so much going on. I can do that. What's the name of this stock? And my friend said, it's a company called Walmart. I'm like, that sounds stupid. That's not going to go anywhere. So my friend made money. So I am by no means the person to go to for stock advice. And another thing that I'm very, very frustrated on as it pertains to the whole stock market is I don't want to be the idiot that sold their Apple stock that they bought in the 80s or 90s. But I also don't want to be the idiot, which I've been, where I held on to a stock and I should have sold it when it was high and I never did. Got something in my eye. So the problem with buying a stock is once you buy, you're stuck. Yeah, you could sell it. But the probability, and I live in Las Vegas, so we know a lot about probability and gambling, that you don't win all the time when it comes to stocks. You're never going to sell it at its high. You're never going to buy at its low more often than you are going to sell when it could have gone up or buy when it was too high. And so I'm of the mindset, if I lost money, and I'll tell you the companies I lost money on. If I lost money, I'm not going to sell the shares because the one thing I actually have still are the shares. If I have 100 shares of something, I'm not going to sell them because I still have the shares. And they might be worth something later. It's all electronic. I don't have them in my hand. But once you sell it, you lose it. But if I'm making money on a stock, do I leave it and let it grow? Is NVIDIA our Apple stock of the 2020s? And is that company, as we've seen, going to continue to grow and grow with their chips and the expansion of AI, where you would be an idiot to sell your NVIDIA? Or is something going to happen and then the stock drops and you're like, I could have made that much money? So it's very anxiety producing. And I'm looking at my platforms and my positions, and I don't know what the hell to do. I don't know if I should sell, if I should wait. So what I've been doing is I've been selling a couple shares and then using that to buy other stocks that I think are going to go up. But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a doctor. I do medicine. But when my listeners are asking me, what did I invest in? Do I get insider information on pharmaceuticals? I don't. We all have access to that. If a company is working on a new weight loss drug, we could all hear about that. Insider information, I believe, is when somebody has inside information on if the FDA is going to approve a drug. And I think that's illegal. So many of you ask me, what do I hear? I don't hear that stuff. And I don't want to hear it because that would be illegal, I believe. But stocks in pharmaceuticals jump every time the FDA approves a drug. So if you could find out if the FDA, but get this, you can't just invest in every single pharmaceutical company that's working on a drug, because if the FDA doesn't approve it or the drug fails clinical trials, that stock drops. So I'm not a big fan of pharmaceutical stocks, although I have some. So I'll tell you which stocks I invested in that did well and which didn't. And I don't remember why I bought these. Is it because I read Motley Fool? Is it because I was reading a story to you guys or a media article? And I said, that might be a good company to look into. Is it because Biden was president, so I want to invest in solar stocks? I invested in a couple different solar stocks. One is doing well, one went bankrupt that I lost money on. So I'll tell you what I've done, and not because I'm teaching you. Don't do what I did unless I failed, and then you could avoid what I did. All right, just take this for my failures. But so 3 stocks I did well on so far was Abbott Labs, and Acuity. Acuity has gone up a lot. Abbott Labs I bought after the issues they had with the formula. So what I do is when I see a company have issues and their stock drops, that's when I like to go and buy some of their stock. I feel bad doing it. I lost on Alibaba. I bought 10 shares. I bought 10 shares of Alibaba because they said Alibaba was the Amazon equivalent. And Baba was doing really, really well during COVID. I just held on to that stock and now I'm under. I have Alpha Pro. I don't know what some of these companies are. Lost on that. Google, Alphabet. I think I bought that too high. I'm doing okay on that. Amazon. I'm doing well on Amazon. Amazon I bought during COVID. So that went up and it's remaining up. It went down, but because of Amazon Prime, it went up for the next week or so. I bought AMC during the whole meme stock thing. AMC, GameStop, but I didn't sell when they went high. So now I'm under on my AMC and GameStop. But I don't have a lot of shares, but I have some of those. Arena Group Holdings. This one was interesting. I've done okay on this one. And by okay, I'm meaning my position's only a few hundred. Trust me, I'm not talking about, we're talking only about hundreds of thousands. I'm not talking about anything big. But Arena is, I believe, a media group, media company. And that one that I believe used to be related, I think Donald Trump had some sort of association with it, but that one has done well. AstraZeneca I bought after their vaccine had issues with the blood clots, and I decided to buy AstraZeneca when that one dropped. That one's doing okay. The Avino Silver and Gold Mining, that's a very cheap, inexpensive stock I bought. It's called ASM because I'm thinking more silver and gold is going to need to be mined because I don't know what the hell we're doing with crypto and all that. So I went and bought that. The Bavarian Norviks, those did really well during the monkeypox because Bavarian Nordic were the ones doing the Mpox vaccines. Those stocks did really well. Then they went down. Again, I didn't sell them when they did well. So right now my positions are under on those. I bought Beyond Meat, 5 shares of Beyond Meat, because during the Biden administration, I thought everything was going to be about veggie burgers. I've lost a little money in that one. That one didn't go as well. Boeing. I'm starting to do okay with Boeing because I bought Boeing after they had some of their mishaps. And I was pleasantly surprised that Trump decided to give the F-47 contract to Boeing. So Boeing is now starting to go up. I did buy Chipotle right before the split of the stock. And with every split of the stock, you get a little bump and then it goes down. So I'm a little bit under on my Chipotle. I'm doing okay on Coinbase. Coinbase is a stock for your Bitcoin. It's not the Bitcoin stock, but it's a company. And that one has been doing well as Bitcoin is going up. Eli Lilly did okay. First Solar was the solar company that I did well on. However, the company that went bankrupt that I got screwed over on was, I think it's called Solar. Let me find the SunPower. Yeah, so I lost on SunPower. All right. Roblox. Roblox does video games. That stock is doing well for me. WBLX. I also heard that I think one of the guys bought Titan. I don't know much about Titan, so I bought a little bit of that. And then my big positions are NVIDIA, which, as you know, is doing really well, and Meta. Meta has really risen. I bought some of that during COVID, and that had done well. Other companies I have really failed on is Teladoc. Teladoc was one of my biggest losers because Teladoc actually gained a lot of money in the beginning of COVID. And so I sold some stock, and I sold before it hit its peak. So I'm like, I made good money on Teladoc. So I went and bought more shares. It went up and then it went down. So I lost money on Teladoc. 1-877-DOC. Daliah, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So when I was little, I remember walking through a store, and my mom worked as a paralegal, and she also worked as a secretary. And they called them secretaries at the time in the 80s. And she would show me that women are mean to each other. They really are. But a woman would be walking in front of us, and she'd whisper to me, you see, she has secretary butt. And all I remember was polyester pants and a very flat, square butt. Now, I don't know if she was overweight. When you're a kid, everybody seems bigger to you. But whenever we would see somebody like that, my mom was like, you see, secretary butt. You get that from sitting too much. And I'm like, I don't want secretary butt. Now, I never liked my butt. I always thought my butt was big. But now I appreciate it more because it is a little bit more round and bouncy. And I like how it protects my back and it protects my pelvis. That's why we have a butt. Another purpose of the butt is to protect in the animal kingdom, a sex partner, because it allows there to be cushion if the animal comes up behind you and sex. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the buttocks protects not only you, but your partner. And so, we don't really spend a lot of time protecting our butts. Some of us do, and we really work on our butts in the gym, but they don't call it secretary butt anymore. They don't use the term secretary. They call it office chair butt, which I think is more appropriate because a lot of us that sit are not necessarily secretaries or assistants. We are doing whatever. Yeah, we're doing radio. Is it radio host butt? Is it telemedicine doctor butt? And so the office chair butt is a flattening of your butt and losing the round buoyancy of the tushy. And that is a sign of, as I believe, a lot more severe. I think it, the word I'm looking for is it portends, right? Not a good future for your back, for your pelvis, and in general for your health. Because if you're getting office chair butt, people think it's a shifting of the fat. It's also an atrophy of your muscles. And if you are atrophying your muscles in your butt, you're also atrophying the muscles in your core in your arms and et cetera, and everything else, your thighs. So you need to get that muscle back. So what do you do? If you're supposed to be sitting in your office or you're supposed to be logged in, one of the first things I recommend is getting to your stand-up desk. Stand-up desk is great because then at least you're standing and you could move and you could dance and you could kind of move that tushy, but you really have to move that tushy. Moving that tushy and wiggling the tushy, very, very important. I think wiggling your tushy, don't twerk at work, but you got to move. Not to mention just standing up helps your digestion. You could poop better, etc. Another thing is stand up frequently. Let your blood get to the butt. Because if you are sitting on your butt, you are compressing. And those vessels aren't doing the job they need to do. And so you could be now some people say, well, good, let me asphyxiate my fat cells and have less fat. The office chair butt doesn't look that good. Yeah, I understand wanting to have a smaller butt. Trust me, I've always wanted to have a smaller butt, but the shape is important. Not to mention, if you're sitting all the time, it's hurting your back. Now, there are certain exercises you could do. Fox News talks about some of the exercises you could do to avoid getting office chair butt. There's let me see. This is a certified fitness trainer, Alyssa Mosca, with Planet Fitness in New York. Confirmed that office chair butt refers to muscles loss due to sitting stagnant in one position and not activating the muscles in the posterior chain along the back of the body. She recommends to do things to help your glutes, your hamstrings, and your quads. Do air squats, where you're only using body weight. You squat down and then return to a standing position. My only problem with the squats is my knees. I would love to, I was in Italy trying to go to the bathroom. That's my problem, my knees. So I have to figure out knee support to do the squats. Lunges, where you step forward or backward until the knee is bent at a 90-degree angle with your back straight. I can't perform them on this, but they're called good mornings, where you bend forward at the hips with a straight back and then return to an upright position. There are the Bulgarian split squats. I didn't know about this. They're called Bulgarian split squats. You perform a lunge forward while the back foot is elevated on a bench or platform behind you. They say these 4 exercises require no equipment and can be done from the office chair. You can also use your chair if it's not swivelly and then squat and pull yourself up, squat and pull yourself up. You could also do leg lifts. So I used to teach calisthenics and aerobics and things like that. And so you can also where you're on the ground and you could do leg lifts. So you could do the complete abduction straight. You could also do the bend, lift. So there's a lot of things you could do to really work your butt muscle, but you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do it because if you sit for long periods of time, you lose your butt, and we cannot lose our butt. Another thing that is very crucial is I have fallen on my butt, and a coccygeal fracture is painful. There's not a lot we could do except we give you a donut to sit on so you don't put pressure on your coccyx. Somebody asked, should they sit on a donut? Just in general, we usually don't recommend these aids if you don't have issues, because those could cause issues in other senses, because now you're putting pressure on other parts without that even distribution. But if you have coccygeal pain, which was your rudimentary tail, we elevate it with that donut so it's suspended in air. But many people with coccygeal fractures or contusions, they have trouble sitting. People with rectal prolapse, severe hemorrhoids, other rectal issues also. So I think having a donut pillow is good to have, but I should get one, honestly. I think so that I just always fall on my butt. But make sure you move. You got to get up from your seat. Pick any movements, do a bunch of reps, maybe 12 to 15. Do a routine. You could do a timer. You can have remember I told you, if you are working at an office, you should be up for 5 minutes of every hour. And so you could set a timer where you get up and move. And I understand if the boss is walking around and you don't want to be looking like you're straight, but you could very easily give your boss a note saying, look, I'm not calling out sick, But my doctor wants me to get up so I don't get a DVT. A blood clot is another thing we could get after sitting long periods of time. Because of my circulation and because of my muscle tone, my doctor wants me to stand up for 5 minutes for every hour and stretch. So if you see me do that, I don't want you to think I'm not working. Now, this will not be an issue if you do your job. A lot of people say, well, my boss is a jerk. If you're doing your job and you're a good worker, it is amazing the leeway they give you. But if you're not doing your job and then or not coming in and then, by the way, you aren't going to see me logged on at home because I'm stretching, that I don't know how long that's going to last. But if you're a good worker and they see you're getting the work done, I don't think they're going to care if you're going to be stretching for your health because they want that longevity. So that's important. So also with office chair butt, understand that your cushions, like the cushion I'm on, needs to be replaced. Just like with your mattress and your bed, it could only hold up so much. And I don't know how much your butt weighs, but my butt weighs enough. And so also don't have your wallet in your back pocket. If that happens, then it shifts I have a lisp. It shifts your pelvis. And then your SI joints could be out. So make sure you have nothing in your pockets. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out. All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So a physician listens to the show. I love it when doctors listen to the show, although I want to make sure I'm sounding, when doctors talk, like, well, it's pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. I don't use a lot of polysyllabic words. I don't say, but so I always get a little nervous, but I speak the way I speak. My mom spoke English. My father, his English was broken English, but I learned the best I could. Every now and then an accent comes out. I have a lisp, I have a stutter, but my English came out as good as it could, and I'm grateful for the English I speak. But when a doctor listens to the show, it's cool. And he wants me to discuss these patient reviews. He closed his office eventually, one, because of the Affordable Care Act, but because of patient reviews. And he wants me to talk about how a lot of these patient reviews are fake. I've spoken a lot about the Yelp issues and many of these review issues. This is tricky because when I write a review, it's real. If I like a restaurant, I'll say so. If I think somebody did a good job, I'll say so. I don't write a lot of negative reviews because I'm just not that type of person. I don't want to, I don't know, I'm more forgiving. But I'm rare in that because the average person will write a negative review and not a positive review. When somebody is happy and going on with their life and they get the prescription they want, they're going to go and run and get their prescription. They're not going to necessarily stop, go on the internet and review. But if somebody is mad about something, they sit and stew about it, and then it goes online. So many reviews are negative. Now, I understand Amazon, and there's a lot of places that try to encourage you to review if you like something. Many restaurants will do that because they're trying to get more of the positive reviews. But the problem is you need to make a decision about a healthcare provider. So I had a patient yesterday who had needed to see a podiatrist. Her primary care provider sent her to a podiatrist because she has an ingrowing nail and toenail fungus, etc. And she said, I don't want to go to the podiatrist because of the reviews. Now, she's not wrong. If you go online and you see negative reviews, you have to take it for what it's worth. But being a business owner as well as being a consumer, I'm telling you right now, some of those are fake. When somebody breaks up with somebody and they're mad, they go and hit the reviews. When somebody doesn't like a bill, they have a high deductible from their insurance. They go and hit the reviews. I have a friend who's a telemedicine provider, and he said that the reviews he's gotten where patients are so mad that they paid the telemedicine company $60, $80, and they didn't get a prescription when they had a virus. But they're mad at the doctor. Why aren't they mad at the company? You see, so there's a lot of projecting that happens. And if somebody, let's say, does get sent to collections because they didn't pay their bill, do they put that in the review? I didn't pay my bill. I tried to get out of it. I've spent money on my iPhone. I've bought money, for my, I spend on, Discord and my video games, but I decided to not pay the doctor. It wasn't a priority. Here's my review. They don't do that. They say the doctor's mean. The doctor's rude. They're anti-women. Can you really? So if you see, and people are starting to get smarter with that, so they will create a story. One reason why I really believe that a lot of these reviews are fake is I told you about that patient where it was a Friday night. I'm closing, and somebody's banging on the glass door saying they need to be seen. And my nurse said she didn't mind staying later. I told her I'd pay her overtime. So we take care of this patient. She had horrible vaginal itching, she said. So I did a vaginal culture, and I gave her a medication. And I guess her insurance, she had a deductible, so the insurance said she owed, I think it was anywhere between $30 and $50. There wasn't a lot. So I didn't get paid yet because she had a deductible and we didn't collect a copay because it was after hours. So she had paid me no money at all. I do a vaginal exam, give her medication after hours with my nurse, and she said thank you. And that was the last I heard of her until I get a call from the insurance company, the fraud department, saying that she is accusing me of where she never saw me. And I billed for a visit that I never did. So she's getting this bill when she was never seen. So I tell the insurance company, I go, I cannot wait to answer your questions, but can you answer me one question first before we start? And they say, what? I go, did you pay LabCorp for a vaginal culture that same day that was acquired at 5:30, 17:30 p.m. on that day. Yes, we did pay LabCorp. All right. Any questions? Never mind. Sorry to bother you. So I did the vaginal culture, and I don't know why the insurance didn't notice that first before they tried to accuse, but they believed the patient. And so for a patient to lie to get out of a bill, you don't think they're going to lie on the reviews? Now, on the other hand, there are some jerk doctors out there where they're mean, they're rude. I heard one of my family members was yelled at by a doctor who was closing his ears, saying, I know. I mean, he almost had a breakdown in front of the patient. That she didn't review him, but she probably should have. That was very weird and condescending to cover your ears and go blah, 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 or whatever he did. Very odd. And yeah, something like that probably should make it to the reviews. But, people are losing their business. Somebody might break up with a waiter at your restaurant, and then now you get reviews that there's rats. Are you kidding me? So I don't know what there's not a lot of there's so much subjectivity and not a lot of objectivity and ways to prove that. And so it is an issue, and I've spoken about it a lot. I hate to see any doctor close their office, but after Obamacare and the high deductibles, yeah, but I am concerned that some people might be missing seeing a really good doctor because of these reviews. So I had a patient who had thyroid cancer, or I believe had thyroid cancer. I ended up being right. And the ENT in town I worked with a lot, who would do the biopsies, who was fantastic, never lost a patient of mine. We always had 100% success with my patients when I used this one ENT specialist. The patient had called me back saying, I don't want to see him. I'm like, oh, okay, why not? His reviews. So I go, really? I've been working with him for 15 years. I read the reviews. I looked at the reviews. Very generic. Very odd. He's mean. I go, really? I've been sending patients, and not one of my patients said he was mean. And I get you. So sometimes, doctors can be jerks. So I talked to the office manager and the doctor. Apparently, again, when people go to collections, they come back and then they say whatever on the reviews. And so I told the patient, I go, look, you have every right to pick any specialist you want. But the reason why I chose him is because we've never had an adverse event with surgery, with thyroidectomies, with biopsies. We've had 100% success. Now that's why I referred you to him. But you could choose anybody you like. As she ended up going to him, we were right. She did have cancer. She had her surgery. Everything was fine. She was happy. So I worry that some of these doctors because the average person does not go, that doctor did the best pap smear. That doctor did the best prostate exam. They don't necessarily do that. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.